The black-haired man corners the silver-haired man, questioning his intentions and corporate ties. Holding his chin, the black-haired man concedes to the silver-haired man's presence. A surprising offer of total devotion leaves the silver-haired man utterly bewildered. Flashing warnings announce a mission failure as Jiang Ruo realizes his NPC role is collapsing. Driven by a desire for retirement, Jiang Ruo vows to protect his final plan. As the top-ranked benefactor system employee, Jiang Ruo prepares for his long-awaited retirement. Surrounded by mountains of cash, Jiang Ruo begins what he hopes is his final assignment. Jiang Ruo offers massive financial support to an aspiring developer who eagerly accepts the deal. A shower of money follows the successful completion of the developer's career-boosting mission. A new record for mission speed results in a massive point multiplier reward. Despite the record speed, Jiang Ruo is furious to find he only earned fractional points. Frustrated by the tiny reward, Jiang Ruo rages at his system for delaying his retirement. The system explains that the low mission difficulty resulted in the measly point payout. To reach retirement immediately, the system suggests a high-stakes SSS-level mission. Jiang Ruo threatens to strip the system of its wardrobe if this mission fails him. With retirement on the line, Jiang Ruo officially selects the difficult SSS-level objective. He prepares to enter a shared universe to manage multiple protagonists and complex missions. Jiang Ruo rejects an athletic candidate, finding him far too old for his personal taste. A celebrity candidate is dismissed next for failing to match Jiang Ruo's own superior looks. After critiquing the author's limited character designs, Jiang Ruo spots a promising CEO target. Confident in his knowledge of CEO-themed stories, Jiang Ruo chooses his next mission protagonist. A decisive finger tap confirms his selection of the powerful, dark-haired corporate leader. Jiang Ruo learns he is cast as the rival to the protagonist, Gu Yandro. Adopting his new persona, Jiang Ruo adjusts his glasses and prepares to face his rival. The silver-haired man takes a moment to admire his sharp, tasteful new corporate attire. Reborn as a reckless spendthrift, Jiang Ruo enters a high-society gambling hall to confront Gu Yanzhuo. Observing his rival, Jiang Ruo accepts his narrative role as a stepping stone for Gu Yanzhuo's rise. The system warns him of imminent losses, but Jiang Ruo flippantly agrees to the high-stakes bet. Gu Yanzhuo mocks his rival's lack of focus, suggesting that the silver-haired man should simply retire. Offended by the suggestion, Jiang Ruo prepares to double down on the intense gambling match. Mockery from the onlookers follows as Jiang Ruo insists on continuing the one-on-one match. A rhythmic clatter sounds as Jiang Ruo shakes the dice, mocking Gu Yanzhuo's overwhelming confidence. With a sharp thud, Jiang Ruo slams the dice cup onto the table, ending his turn. A low roll of 3-1 stuns the crowd, yet Jiang Ruo remains strangely triumphant. Gu Yanzhuo accepts the final challenge, agreeing to a high-risk winner-takes-all round. The sound of dice clattering fills the room as both rivals prepare their final moves. Gu Yanzhuo slams his cup down, ready to seize victory and the silver-haired man's fortune. Dominating the table, Gu Yanzhuo pins Jiang Ruo's hand down and demands he stay put. Gu Yanzhuo forces a winning bet, leaving the crowd in awe of his ruthless gambling style. With a smirk, Gu Yanzhuo hopes his rival isn't too disappointed by the crushing defeat. Jiang Ruo dismisses the loss as a gift and aggressively raises the stakes even higher. He tosses a stack of property deeds onto the table, wagering his remaining vast wealth. In a flurry of paperwork, the silver-haired man continues flinging deeds at a confused Gu Yanzhuo. Jiang Ruo celebrates his total bankruptcy, gleefully announcing that he has lost everything to his rival. Gu Yanzhuo stares in disbelief as Jiang Ruo formally hands over his entire fortune. Expecting the mission to end, Jiang Ruo is annoyed when the system suddenly freezes. The system reveals a major problem. The male lead actually refused the winning bet. Gu Yanzhuo declares the entire wager void, derailing Jiang Ruo's plan to lose quickly. The mission fails due to the unresolved plot point, sending Jiang Ruo into a violent rage. Vowing to break Gu Yanzhuo's resolve, Jiang Ruo works late into the night on a new scheme. After working late into the night, the silver-haired man tells his system he is going to sleep. A new morning begins as sunlight bathes the towering skyscrapers of the city. While the black-haired CEO is already productive, his rival remains soundly asleep past 7. The CEO finishes a workout on the treadmill while the silver-haired man continues slumbering. A sudden alarm rings and the black-haired man curtly commands his caller to speak. Learning about his rival's suspiciously low company sale price, the CEO suspects a hidden trap. The cat-like system entity frantically wakes the silver-haired man from his deep morning sleep. Shocked by the news, the silver-haired man hears that Gu Yanzhuo has rejected his sacrifice. Suspecting ill intent behind the unprovoked gift, the black-haired CEO remains fiercely vigilant. Despite having multiple backup arrangements, the silver-haired man learns that every single one failed. Gu Yanzhuo dismisses the suspicious withdrawal of the Wang group, scoring a tactical double kill. Refusing to buy useless inventory, the CEO avoids another trap and achieves a triple kill. Detecting a potential trap in the strategic partnership, the black-haired man secures a quadra kill. Gu Yanzhuo fires a suspicious informant, completing his dominant pentakill against his rival. Enraged by the CEO's extreme vigilance, the silver-haired man vows to physically beat him up. Slumping in bed, the silver-haired man insults the overbearing CEO for his frustratingly sharp instincts. The silver-haired man contemplates how Gu Yanzhuo is unlike any past mission target he faced. He reflects on how the novel settings should be controlling his target's every choice. Realizing Gu Yanzhuo has his own behavioral logic, the silver-haired man deepens his observations. A chilling close-up reveals the silver-haired man's realization: his target is truly alive. Warning messages flash as the silver-haired man desperately insists he can fix the failing mission. At a private home, an elegant woman scolds her son for not visiting more often. Gu Yanzhuo listens as his mother recounts the heavy burdens he carried after his father's death. The conversation shifts abruptly as the woman demands her son finally find a daughter-in-law.
She describes the perfect partner for him, imagining someone cheerful, cute, and humorous.
Gu Yanzhuo attempts to escape the conversation by claiming he still has urgent work. A sudden notification from Wang Jiangru surprises the black-haired man while he checks his phone. His mother notices the distraction and accuses him of brushing her off once again. An incoming call from his rival vibrates, causing the black-haired man to stare in disbelief. Flustered, the CEO tells his mother to find anyone as long as the matter is urgent. Gu Yanzhuo hesitates while looking at the incoming call from his suspicious rival. A text confession of love appears over a view of someone relaxing in the water. The black-haired man reacts with visible shock and perspiration as he reads the bold message. A theatrical vision shows the silver-haired man tossing money while the CEO embraces him. Currency falls around their feet in a dreamlike stage setting under a bright spotlight. In a chibi vision, the silver-haired man performs an address to earn a high score. In reality, the silver-haired man takes the video call while relaxing in the bathtub. On the phone screen, the black-haired CEO looks intensely flustered and horrified by the view. Wearing a skincare mask, the silver-haired man speaks casually during his private soak. The system gleefully announces that the silver-haired man's plan to become friends has also failed. A sudden reminder of a wardrobe malfunction during the call leaves the silver-haired man mortified. The silver-haired man reacts with stunned embarrassment as he realizes what happened during the call. Following the incident, the CEO stares darkly at his phone before blocking his rival. Gu Yanzhuo's mother shocks him by declaring that same-sex marriage is now legal and acceptable. She playfully encourages her son to bring his energetic new match home for a visit. Blushing furiously, the black-haired man adamantly denies he would ever be with another man. The mother stages a dramatic coughing fit to guilt her son into reconsidering his stubborn stance. Gu Yanzhuo offers to call a doctor, but his mother dismisses him with a tired sigh. Reluctantly, the black-haired man prepares to leave after checking on his mother's condition. As he departs, his mother offers parting advice on his health and finding true love. Gu Yanzhuo prepares to depart, acknowledging his mother's final words in her elegant living room. The black-haired man promises to keep his mother's advice in mind while heading out. A sudden cough sounds as the woman worries for her son, hiding a blood-stained tissue. Night falls over the city skyline as the scene shifts to Gu Yanzhuo's private residence. Returning home, the black-haired man is stunned to find his silver-haired rival waiting on his sofa. Looking intensely annoyed, the CEO demands to know how his rival gained entry to his house. Jiang Ro casually explains he visited in person because his phone number was blocked. A sharp grab sounds as the CEO seizes his rival's arm, rejecting his friendship offer. Gu Yanzhuo drags the silver-haired man toward the exit, questioning his intrusive method of making friends.
Pinned against the wall, Jiang Ruo protests against the CEO's constant avoidance and refusal to speak.
The black-haired man offers a silent, piercing stare, seemingly unmoved by the silver-haired man's complaints. Framed by a floral background, Jiang Ruo laments the lack of a proper conversation between them. Dismissing the behavior as a seduction attempt, the black-haired man firmly pushes his rival out. A thump echoes as the system warns Jiang Ruo about the CEO's massive misunderstanding of him. Jiang Ru refuses to quit, adjusting his glasses and noting his rival hasn't seen the gift. A small pink gift box on the table catches the black-haired man's attention after the encounter. A rustle sounds as Gu Yanzhuo opens the gift, finding critical AI drug development research inside. Stunned by the high-quality documents, the black-haired man watches a small note fall to the floor. The CEO reaches down to retrieve the small piece of paper dropped from the gift box. Reading a request for friendship, Gu Yanzhuo smirks and mocks the silver-haired man's ugly handwriting. Jiang Ruo celebrates his supposed mission success as the system begins calculating his reward points.
Horror strikes the silver-haired man as the point counter settles on a devastatingly low 0.
Enraged, the chibi-styled man rages at the system window for withholding his mission reward points. The cat-like system nervously explains a unique hidden quirk in the SSS-level mission reward rules. It reveals that points only pay out after 9 consecutive wins, otherwise he faces reclamation.
Jang Ruo complains about his points becoming an HP bar while the system offers a benefit.
At a research lab, scientists discuss the failing clinical trials and the 50% success rate. Gu Yanzhuo arrives at the facility, calling out for Professor Lin to discuss the research setbacks. The CEO introduces a new, versatile CRO team to collaborate and save the drug development project. Feeling insulted by the new additions, Professor Lin questions if the CEO no longer trusts him. The lead researcher threatens to quit and take all the critical trial data with him. Jiang Ru suddenly appears in the lab, mocking the researchers' empty and desperate threats. The silver-haired man dismisses the flawed data and offers to fund whatever Gu Yanzhuo requires.
Chibi-styled researchers celebrate, demanding higher salaries, new equipment, and a cafeteria from their new benefactor.
Jiang Ru encourages their demands while the suspicious CEO watches his rival's unusually generous behavior.
Gu Yanzhuo stares at the silver-haired man, trying to decipher his rival's true hidden motives.
Convinced his rival has feelings for him, the CEO stares as Jiang Ruo holds his hands. Jiang Ruo points out a massive building across the street he purchased as their new laboratory. The system reveals the special benefit. Every yuan spent on the target returns tenfold as points. Realizing the massive profit potential, Jiang Ruo views his rival as a literal money-printing machine. Gu Yanzhuo looks flustered and suspicious as the silver-haired man stares at him with greedy eyes. The black-haired man refuses the investment, offering a loan agreement or company shares instead.
Jiang Ruo laughs off the rejection, jokingly asking if the CEO wants a few billion more.
Declaring the help unwanted, Gu Yanzhuo firmly ends the conversation and prepares to walk away. The system notifies Jiang Ruo of another rejection while he watches the black-haired man depart.
The silver-haired man scoffs at his rival's stubbornness, confident he will eventually need the money.
Half a month later, Jiang Ru reflects on how no one else can fund the research.
Gu Yanzhuo meets with an elder at a bar, pitching the potential of his drug project.
A glug sounds as the CEO drinks wine, while Jiang Ruo watches, calling him an idiot. Frustrated, the silver-haired man clenches his fist, angry that his rival is being played for a fool.
Disgusted by the scene, the silver-haired man swipes his system screen, calling his rival's behavior infuriatingly dumb.
At the bar, the elder man encourages Gu Yanzhuo to have another drink, smiling deceptively as he pours.
A loud bang sounds as a foot in a brown shoe kicks the door wide open.
Jiang Ru casually enters the lounge, claiming he only stopped by for a drink while the elder stares.
In a chibi vision, the silver-haired man quickly downs the glass of wine in one determined gulp. Jiang Ru dismisses the elder's attempts to get his rival drunk, choosing to drink with the man instead. A small, sparkling drop of red wine spills onto the silver-haired man's white shirt and dark tie.
The system frantically warns of danger as Jiang Ruo feels a sudden, dizzying wave of intoxication hit him.
A sharp clatter sounds as the wineglass shatters, with the system declaring him a one-drink knockout.
Fading fast, Jiang Ru collapses against Gu Yanzhuo, desperately trying to remain conscious through the drug's effects. Blushing and dazed, the silver-haired man struggles to focus his eyes behind his thin-rimmed glasses. Darkness and light blur together as Jiang Ruo realizes something terrible is about to happen to him. The elder mocks the situation, but Gu Yanzhuo holds his unconscious rival with a deeply suspicious expression. Turning a sharp, cold gaze toward the elder, the black-haired CEO demands to know if he drugged him.
The elder panics and denies the accusation, while the black-haired man wonders how his rival succumbed so easily.
A sudden warmth spreads through Gu Yanzhuo as the sleeping silver-haired man begins subconsciously touching his back.
Enraged by the CEO's attitude, the elder man shouts and points, still demanding investment for his project.
Gu Yanzhuo rejects the filthy money and gathers his rival in his arms to make a swift departure. The black-haired man carries his rival out while the elder screams that they are both useless trash. In a chibi bathroom scene, Gu Yanzhuo tells the dazed silver-haired man to stand still against the wall. The CEO prepares to use a cold shower to sober his rival up, but Jiang Ruo looks utterly miserable. Disoriented, the silver-haired chibi attempts to climb into the bathtub as the CEO asks what he is doing.
Sitting in the tub, the adult Jiang Ruo blushes and mumbles that he is simply taking a shower.
Gu Yanzhuo watches silently, noting that his rival seems surprisingly obedient while under the influence of the drug. Jiang Ruo begins unbuttoning his shirt and loosening his tie, mentioning he needs to be undressed to shower.
Gu Yanzhuo panics in a chibi vision, convinced his rival is using this drunken state to seduce him.
A quick click sounds as the black-haired man reaches for the valve to turn on the water. Cold water sprays over Jiang Ruo, causing him to shiver and gasp at the sudden, freezing temperature. The silver-haired man huddles in the tub, hugging his knees as the cold water continues to soak him.
Gu Yanzhuo gazes down at his shivering rival, struck by how unexpectedly delicate the silver-haired man looks. Wrapping his rival in a thick white towel, the CEO carries the shivering man out of the bathroom. Gu Yanzhuo gently lays the sleeping man on the bed, relieved that he is finally behaving himself.
Reaching down, the black-haired man carefully slides the glasses off his rival's face to let him sleep.
A soft sound echoes as the CEO sets the glasses aside, realizing the alcohol is finally affecting him too.
Gu Yanzhuo loosens his own tie, panting slightly as the heat of the wine begins to cloud his senses.
The CEO is caught off guard as two pale hands reach up from the bed to grab his shoulders.
Jiang Ruo pulls the black-haired man close, insisting that if he is drunk, he must also take a shower. In a steamy, dreamlike vision, a naked Jiang Ruo looms over the CEO in the water, questioning his clothes. The silver-haired man offers to help him undress, his expression soft and alluring under the bright bathroom lights.
Pressing against the CEO's bare chest, Jiang Ruo nuzzles into him amidst a background of blooming pink flowers.
The silver-haired man asks why he is pressing back if he doesn't like the proximity, his eyes teasing.
Gu Yanzhuo gasps and opens his eyes wide, blushing furiously as he jolts awake from the scandalous dream.
He realizes it was only a dream, though the silver-haired man is still peacefully sleeping in his arms. Chibi visions of the encounter cause Gu Yanzhuo to scream internally with embarrassment over his own wild imagination. The black-haired man looks down in shock, noticing the silver-haired man's bath towel has come loose during sleep. Gu Yanzhuo hesitates before gently stroking the silver-haired man's messy locks against the floral-patterned bedding. Jiang Ruo whimpers, so cold, and clings tighter to the black-haired man, seeking warmth in his sleep.
A memory surfaces of a crying younger Jiang Ruo at an orphanage, begging a volunteer for a hug. The volunteer pulls their hand away, coldly stating that no matter how pitiful he is, they cannot hug him.
In a somber childhood memory, adults criticize a small silver-haired boy for his perceived helplessness.
Relatives mock the blind boy's lack of friends while touching his mud-stained clothing. A gentle touch accompanies advice for the silver-haired child to stop being an easy target.
Cruel voices in the snowy wilderness justify violence against the boy for daring to resist.
Abandoned in the snow, the silver-haired man is left for dead by his heartless tormentors. A glowing system window appears before the injured man, offering him a chance at redemption.
The system promises the silver-haired man that his dreams will manifest if he joins them.
A mysterious silhouette within the light offers the man exclusive tools for his new mission.
Glowing data streams into his eyes as the system restores his sight in the cold snow. Wearing his signature glasses, the man realizes he can finally see his own reflection. The system questions what the silver-haired man truly desires as a vision of comfort fades.
Jiang Ruo wakes up dazed in bed, struggling to separate his dreams from reality.
Realizing his wrists are bound with a tie, the silver-haired man searches for his glasses. A sudden, firm grip stops Jiang Ruo's movement as a voice tells him it's enough.
Gu Yanzhuo pins the silver-haired man's hands above his head, commanding him to stay still.
The two rivals lock eyes in an intimate, tense moment as Jiang Ruo questions the CEO.
In a chibi vision, the black-haired man mocks his rival's poor vision and high prescription.
Gu Yanzhuo reaches toward the bedside table to retrieve the silver-haired man's discarded glasses.
Jiang Ruo puts on his glasses, though his hands remain bound by the dark silk tie.
The silver-haired man demands to know what his rival did to him during the night. A quiet moment passes between the two chibis as the morning light fills the bedroom. Gu Yanzhuo questions if his rival overestimated his own ability to handle strong alcohol.
Dressing himself, the CEO remarks that the silver-haired man only behaves when he is restrained.
Gu Yanzhuo leans in, warning his rival not to play the hero without the capacity.
Fixing his tie, the CEO listens as Jiang Ruo asks how he intends to repay him.
Gu Yanzhuo turns back with a sharp, calculating gaze that leaves the room heavy with silence.
Standing tall in his suit, the black-haired man asks what his rival truly wants to obtain.
Jiang Ruo promises help while the system frantically warns him about his lack of pants. A memory surfaces of a younger Gu Yanzhuo surrounded by relatives feigning concern for him. In the past, the boy's mother protects him while an uncle demands control of the company.
Gu Yanzhuo reflects on how every helpful person was actually just greedy for his shares.
The CEO observes the silver-haired man, struck by a rare sense of genuine, uncalculated sincerity. Patting his rival's head, Gu Yanzhuo warns that such precious sincerity should never be misused.
Jiang Ru looks bewildered as the black-haired man tells him to stop offering such help.
Chibi versions of the silver-haired man crowd around the stoic CEO in a comical display.
Frustrated, the silver-haired chibi fumes that his heartfelt words were apparently spoken for absolutely nothing.
Jiang Ru eats fruit while gazing at a massive skyscraper, shifting his focus back to business.
Lounging on the sofa, the silver-haired man chews on fruit with a look of pure annoyance.
The cat-like system asks for the next move while Jiang Ru ponders his next strategic play. Jiang Ru decides to let his stubborn rivals suffer before reaching out to him again.
A shopping spree provides a much-needed mood boost, proving to him that money heals everything.
Dressed in a stylish new jacket, the silver-haired man receives a mysterious green gift box.
Jiang Ru holds the package as the scene transitions into a quiet moonlit night. At the office, an assistant delivers the green gift box to a skeptical Gu Yanzhuo.
The CEO admits the gift isn't bad while the system snidely calls his taste ugly.
Admiring himself in the mirror, Gu Yanzhuo remains unaware of the system's harsh fashion critiques.
Watching through the system screen, Jiang Ru mocks his rival's boring and colorless office attire.
A quick click sounds as the silver-haired man poses for a stylish selfie to show off.
Gu Yanzhuo blushes furiously while looking at his phone, leaving Jiang Ru confused by the reaction.
The silver-haired chibi glows with pride, oblivious to the effect his photo had on his rival.
Gu Yanzhuo scrolls through several stylish photos Jiang Ru sent him from his trip.
The black-haired man wonders why Jiang Ru only sent photos without any accompanying text. An assistant informs President Gu that President Wang has been absent from work lately.
Gu Yanzhuo gazes out the window, asking his assistant if he also senses something is wrong. The assistant nervously asks if the CEO might have accidentally hurt President Wang's feelings.
A flustered chibi Gu Yanzhuo struggles to solve the puzzle of Jiang Ruo's mysterious intentions.
Every choice on Gu Yanzhuo's imaginary test concludes that Jiang Ru simply misses him.
With a determined scribble, Gu Yanzhuo commits to the idea that he is truly missed.
Jiang Ru returns to his hotel room, feeling exhausted after a long day of play.
The cat-like system reports Gu Yanzhuo's success, forcing Jiang Ru to admit his rival's impressive talent.
While questioning his purpose as a benefactor, Jiang Ru realizes someone is already in his room. A heavy silence falls as a mysterious figure is seen lurking within the darkened room.
A sudden, firm hand reaches out and roughly grabs Jiang Ru from behind.
Gu Yanzhuo pins his rival against the wall, his eyes burning with an unreadable intensity.
The black-haired man recounts Jiang Ruo's hardships, wondering if he has truly hurt him.
Gu Yanzhuo pulls Jiang Ru close, declaring he accepts both his investment and his affection.
Startled, Jiang Ru denies any feelings, leaving Gu Yanzhuo looking genuinely stunned and rejected.
The silver-haired man vehemently rejects the idea of liking his rival, causing a tense standoff.
Gu Yanzhuo looks hurt, questioning why Jiang Ru did so much for him without love.
Memories of Jiang Ruo's sacrifices and suggestive moments flash through Gu Yanzhuo's troubled mind.
Gu Yanzhuo recalls every grand gesture and heartfelt promise Jiang Ru ever made to him.
The black-haired man demands to know if Jiang Ru was merely toying with his emotions.
Trapped and trembling, Jiang Ru struggles to understand the sudden, aggressive shift in the CEO's behavior.
Gu Yanzhuo offers his entire fortune, but Jiang Ru desperately tries to push him away.
Yielding to his feelings, Gu Yanzhuo admits defeat and leans in closer to his rival.
Gu Yanzhuo finally confesses his feelings and pulls Jiang Ru into a passionate, sudden kiss.
A system alarm blares danger as Jiang Ru realizes the plot is spiraling out of control.
Jiang Ru breaks the kiss and pushes the CEO back, accusing him of having wild illusions.
The silver-haired man coldly declares that he has plenty of money and doesn't need Gu's.
Heartbroken and dejected, Gu Yanzhuo begins to undo his tie, believing he completely misread the situation. Gu Yanzhuo begins to undress, offering himself up if humiliation and control are what Jiang Ru desires.
Jiang Ru screams in panic, desperately trying to stop his rival from stripping further in frustration. To calm the CEO down, the silver-haired chibi agrees to stay together while wrestling him.
Blushing furiously, Jiang Ru begs his rival to stop undressing and admits he is genuinely scared.
Gu Yanzhuo pauses, demanding a solemn promise that Jiang Ru is truly being sincere this time.
Jiang Ru establishes strict new rules to prevent further scandalous behavior and financial offers.
Despite the new rules, Gu Yanzhuo immediately pulls his rival into another tight, affectionate embrace.
Jiang Ru decides to tolerate the affection temporarily to ensure his mission's ultimate success.
Gu Yanzhuo calmly notes his proximity and promises to accompany Jiang Ru for sightseeing tomorrow. The cheerful system praises its host for successfully navigating the emotionally charged and chaotic crisis.
Jiang Ru decides to officially initiate a romance arc to fix the derailed storyline.
Gu Yanzhuo calls a friend for specific materials to help him understand romantic relationships. The CEO receives a massive data file guaranteed to solve his lack of romantic experience.
Jiang Ru reflects on his past missions as a plot-fixing benefactor across many different worlds.
A montage of Jiang Ruo's many roles shows his long history of supporting various protagonists.
From high on a balcony, Jiang Ruo gazes out, always the observer, but never the participant.
Despite his vast knowledge of stories, Jiang Ru admits he has absolutely no personal romantic experience.
Jiang Ruo's heart flutters remembering the kiss, but the system warns him against temptation.
Lying in bed, Jiang Ru reminds himself that Gu Yanzhuo is merely a fictional character. Jiang Ru plans a classic forced contact scenario at Wildman Valley to progress the plot.
The next day arrives, and Jiang Ru and Gu Yanzhuo travel together through lush green mountains.
Gu Yanzhuo suspiciously questions what his rival intends to do with the new woman joining them.
Jiang Ru introduces his employee, Zhao Xiaoxiao, who has been invited to serve as their tour guide.
Gu Yanzhuo reveals his own extra companion, Pei Ju, who will act as his personal bodyguard.
Jiang Ru fumes internally, annoyed that the unexpected bodyguard has become a giant, unwanted third wheel.
The group sets off with the silver-haired man leading the way while the others follow awkwardly. Zhao Xiaoxiao announces their arrival at Wildman Valley, explaining its history of mysterious wildman sightings.
She reassures the group that the modern wildmen are simply actors hired to interact with tourists.
Suddenly, Pei Ju is ambushed and snatched away by the actors, much to his utter surprise.
Zhao Xiaoxiao explains the Rescue a Companion show requires them to complete games to save him.
Jiang Ru laments his failed plan, having hoped the leads would save him and fall in love.
Jiang Ru feigns heat stroke to regain control, collapsing into Gu Yanzhuo's arms for a princess carry.
Gu Yanzhuo prioritizes his rival's health over the game, declaring that Jiang Ru is far more important.
While being carried away, Jiang Ru watches as Zhao Xiaoxiao promises to bring the bodyguard back herself.
Chibi Jiang Ru panics, realizing his plan failed and fearing what the CEO might try next.
Gu Yanzhuo brings the silver-haired man to a quiet, shaded rock and commands him to lie down.
The black-haired man reaches out and tells his rival to undress, sparking immediate panic and confusion. Gu Yanzhuo explains he is merely trying to cool him down, but Jiang Ru insists he is fine.
Gu Yanzhuo pulls his rival into a lap-sitting position, asking why he continues to resist his advances.
Pinning the CEO down, Jiang Ru asserts his dominance and reminds Gu Yanzhuo who sets the rules.
Leaning in close, the silver-haired man declares that everything must proceed exactly according to his commands.
In a chibi vision, the silver-haired man gloats while the dazed CEO lies defeated beneath him.
Gu Yanzhuo blushes furiously, feeling shamelessly teased by the silver-haired man's dominant and suggestive behavior.
The CEO suggests waiting until they return, leaving Jiang Ru baffled by his rival's wandering thoughts.
Chibi Jiang Ruo sits atop the dazed black-haired man, wondering why his mind drifts to strange places.
A sudden, sharp vibration from a phone interrupts the tension, and Jiang Ruo blushes as they startle.
Gu Yanzhuo answers the urgent call, his expression shifting as he listens to the serious news. The black-haired man informs Jiang Ru that he must leave because his mother has been hospitalized. The scene shifts to the hospital building, where a heart monitor emits a steady, rhythmic beep. Inside the room, Gu Yanzhuo's mother lies unconscious in bed, breathing through an oxygen mask.
Gu Yanzhuo weeps at the bedside as his mother speaks of seeing his father in her dreams.
She expresses a desire to join her husband, yet she worries about leaving her son alone.
Gu Yanzhuo grips her hand tightly, tearfully promising her that he will find a way to save her.
Watching the heart-wrenching scene, the system explains that her death is a crucial catalyst for the plot. Jiang Ru refuses to accept the tragedy, believing he can achieve the mission's goals without her death. The cat-like system warns that developing a cure would take far longer than the 3 months remaining. Jiang Ru suggests that the advanced system AI could easily shorten the drug's development time itself. The system proudly agrees but warns that saving her would defy the main system and cause punishment. The silver-haired man determines to bypass oversight by making the system unable to see or hear. Removing his glasses, Jiang Ru prepares for a risky move while the system begs him to stop.
Under the moonlit sky, Jiang Ru sneaks into the laboratory as the glowing system follows him frantically.
He tells the worried system to be good, confident his ears will guide him without his eyes. A sharp, quick click sounds as the silver-haired man focuses his blurred gaze on the task.
Gu Yanzhuo enters the laboratory late at night, asking why he was called there for work matters.
Standing in the dim light, the silver-haired man commands the CEO not to move or turn on lights. Jiang Ru reminds his rival of the rules, demanding absolute obedience to his orders without rebuttal.
The silver-haired man beckons the CEO closer, reaching out to place a firm hand on his neck.
After a tense moment, Jiang suddenly tells the CEO to forget it and clenches his fist. Gu Yandro looks confused as he reaches for his collar while his rival seems to hesitate. The two men lean into a sudden, passionate kiss as a glowing butterfly appears between them. Confronting his rival, the black-haired man notes the broken rules within their chaotic, heretical world. A dark, oppressive atmosphere hangs heavy as red warnings manifest across the shifting reality. Sitting together, Chibi Jiang reasons that physical harm would only delay their important work. Blushing brightly, the Chibi CEO realizes his rival enjoys the thrill of outdoors and laboratories. Jiang holds a belt, sternly declaring that foul play requires immediate and strict punishment.
A sharp whistling snap sounds as the silver-haired man delivers a firm strike with the belt.
Chibi Jiang looks satisfied, wondering if this level of restriction is finally enough for them. Gu Yandro winces as system errors begin to fracture the reality of their intense encounter.
The glowing cat system urges Jiang to continue while it links to the pharmaceutical data.
Determination fills the silver-haired man's eyes as he prepares for the next phase of his plan. Losing his sight, Jiang relies on instinct as he reaches out in the blurred darkness. Gu Yandro pulls his rival into a sudden, heated kiss on the desk, apologizing for his intensity. A glowing butterfly flutters between them as they share a deep, lingering moment of affection. Pulling back slightly, Jiang realizes something is wrong and demands a sudden, urgent pause. The silver-haired man tenses, his gaze shifting toward the shadows as he senses an intruder. Caught in the laboratory, a man in a lab coat panics as Gu Yandro demands his identity. The intruder fumbles, dropping a thick folder as he desperately tries to escape the room. A sharp, quick clock sounds as the fleeing man trips, sending a USB drive sliding across the floor.
A hand reaches out with focused intent to reclaim the dropped drive from the cold floor.
A heavy thud echoes as Gu Yandro pins the intruder down with a firm boot.
The black-haired man recognizes the thief as Assistant Li, who looks up in sheer terror.
Gu Yandro accuses the former employee of returning late at night to steal valuable trade secrets. Standing tall, the CEO declares the man is caught red-handed and must face the police. Trapped and desperate, Assistant Li demands to be released while issuing a dark, whispered threat. Li lunges with a knife, causing Gu Yandro to shout a frantic warning to Jiang.
The system screams in panic as the critical data transmission is suddenly severed at halfway.
Jiang stares down the blade with icy calm, finding the intruder's desperate shouting far too noisy. The silver-haired man effortlessly disarms the thief, noting his personal distaste for unnecessary physical fighting. A painful, sharp crunch sounds as Jiang expertly subdues the attacker in one swift motion. Li grovels for mercy while Jiang coldly kicks a pen away from the mess. A sudden, dangerous slip occurs, and Gu Yandro screams as falling scissors plunge toward his rival. A sharp, metallic shing sounds as Gu Yandro throws himself forward, taking the blade in his shoulder. Startled, Jiang checks the wound, but the CEO insists only his rival's safety truly matters.
A bright flash erupts as Jiang realizes his vision has suddenly and mysteriously returned.
Complex lines of chaotic system code flicker across the screen, signaling a major internal malfunction. The system explains it returned to protect the host, but the vital data transmission failed. Jiang gazes at the bleeding wound, his mind racing as the system interface hovers nearby. Standing on a giant chessboard, Jiang hears the system's grim warning about losing everything.
The silver-haired man remains undeterred, confident that he still possesses one final decisive move.
A cheerful chibi boy winks, inviting readers to support the journey and join the community.
Under the night sky, Jiang leaves the hospital room after being told to rest properly.
Gu Yandro sits bandaged in bed as Jiang questions why he would risk his life. The black-haired man gazes up, admitting his heart aches whenever he sees his rival in pain. A heavy silence falls as Jiang looks away, processing the weight of the CEO's confession. A sudden, shocking proposal breaks the quiet as a voice asks about getting married. Sitting close on the hospital bed, the two men share a moment of tense, unspoken realization. Looking bewildered, Jiang demands to know why the CEO would assume he doesn't want to.
Gu Yandro suddenly stands, leaving the silver-haired man staring in utter confusion at his movements.
A soft thump sounds as the CEO kneels, apologizing for the lack of a perfect proposal. Gu Yandro offers his hand in a formal proposal, begging Jiang to marry him.
Chibi Jiang accepts the marriage proposal, holding hands with the black-haired man.
The Blue Cat system panics, wondering if its host has truly fallen in love. Jiang determines the protagonist is out of control, necessitating a strategic shift in his plan. Half a month later, the two men stand together for their beautiful seaside wedding ceremony.
Chibi Jiang justifies the marriage as a strategic business merger to support the male lead.
Amid the celebration, Jiang Ruo cold-bloodedly plans for the protagonist's eventual curtain call and replacement. Jiang Ru intends to become a tragic, unforgettable memory, bidding a silent farewell to his groom.
Chibi Jiang Ruo rows away, planning a dramatic exit to ensure he is never forgotten.
Jiang Ruo admits his internal coldness while slowly releasing the black-haired man's hand.
A sudden, festive clang sounds as Gu Yanzhuo gratefully thanks Jiang Ruo for staying by his side.
The black-haired man confesses that Jiang Ruo's appearance restored his faith in pure worldly love. A soft kiss seals their union as a poetic quote celebrates their steadfast and loyal devotion. The wedding guests cheer enthusiastically as the couple shares a warm embrace under blue balloons. Gentle waves lap against the shore as a final blessing for their eternal union echoes.
Under the glowing full moon, a solitary boat drifts across the calm and dark sea. The rhythmic churning of the deep blue water creates a somber and expectant atmosphere. A low, strained grunt sounds as a hand grips the boat's edge with sudden effort.
Breathless ha sounds fill the air as the two men share an intimate encounter on the boat.
Gu Yanzhuo asks why his rival enjoys outdoor encounters as Jiang Ruo blushes furiously.
Jiang Ruo reveals a morbid desire to die in the sea while being lifted high. A gentle caress accompanies a soft whisper telling the silver-haired man not to be afraid. A sharp, sudden thud sounds as the silver-haired man is pinned down during their intense moment.
A breathless plea for a slower pace sounds as water splashes against the boat.
A dark thought of ending everything together lingers over the shimmering surface of the water.
Surrounded by glowing jellyfish, the two men sink into the deep as Jiang Ruo plans. A luxurious closet filled with organized clothes and accessories awaits the silver-haired man's approval.
Gu Yanzhuo teases Jiang Ruo about his simple wardrobe while pulling him into a back hug.
Jiang Ruo suggests waiting for his death to inherit the vast collection of expensive jewelry. Gu Yanzhuo offers a necklace, hoping to add some flair to Jiang Ruo's plain outfits.
The black-haired man leans in close, his gaze filled with an intense and silent longing.
Passion reignites as Gu Yanzhuo kisses his rival's neck amidst a glowing and romantic aura.
Proposing a second attempt, Gu Yanzhuo lifts Jiang Ruo for another round of intense affection. A hand grips the desk tightly as the room fills with an air of passion. Exhausted, Jiang Ruo begs to postpone his death after the CEO's relentless and intense persistence.
The two men collapse together, the silver-haired man repeating his plea for a temporary reprieve. A delicious blueberry cake sits on the table as the scene shifts to a quiet moment.
Looking disheveled and tired, Jiang Ruo focuses on practicing his traditional calligraphy at the desk.
Chibi Jiang Ruo collapses onto his work while the CEO looks on with satisfied amusement.
Jiang Ruo scolds his rival for distracting him while he attempts to practice his writing.
Jiang Ruo protests that he cannot write properly while Gu Yanzhuo continues his distracting advances.
The system covers its eyes as Gu Yanzhuo shamelessly teases Jiang Ruo about his preferences.
Jiang Ruo attempts to push the CEO away, urging him to focus on their actual work.
A sudden sob sounds as the crying system watches Jiang Ruo dramatically declare his imminent end. An urgent phone call interrupts their moment, forcing the CEO to answer while holding Jiang Ruo.
Gu Yanzhuo answers the call as Jiang Ruo watches with a look of silent curiosity.
The scene shifts to the hospital where the two men meet with a waiting doctor. The doctor explains that the mother's health turned critical once her final worries were resolved. Gu Yanzhuo enters his mother's room, reflecting on the unavoidable fate of the world's characters.
Gu Yanzhuo's mother peacefully accepts her fate, noting that Jiang Ruo is a good person.
Gu Yanzhuo stands solemnly at the funeral, mourning the loss of his beloved mother.
Silver-haired Jiang Ruo notices Gu Yanzhuo is upset while a young chibi version reminisces.
Steady footsteps approach as a cold thought commands life to remain for now.
Gu Yanzhuo asks his rival to travel together, mourning his mother's quiet solitude.
Jiang Ruo gently suggests that the mother wanted her son to find peace.
The black-haired man asks why Jiang Ruo enjoys traveling as he looks away.
Looking into the distance, Jiang Ruo admits he is searching for a specific place.
When questioned further by Gu Yanzhuo, the silver-haired man cryptically calls it a secret.
A hand softly places a pair of thin-rimmed glasses onto the wooden nightstand.
Sitting shirtless in bed, Jiang Ruo realizes how long he has stayed by his rival.
A soft, tentative sounds as the morning light filters through the white curtains. Opening the curtains, Jiang Ruo admires the beautiful weather while standing in the way.
The silver-haired man gazes out the window with a look of serene contemplation. Gu Yanzhuo pulls his partner into a shirtless back hug, asking about his early rise.
Jiang Ruo expresses a desire for a walk, and Gu Yanzhuo immediately agrees to join.
Chibi Jiang Ruo playfully shoves the black-haired man's face away to keep his distance.
A tender kiss seals a promise as Gu Yanzhuo offers to give him space.
Jiang Ruo stands thoughtfully by the window while Gu Yanzhuo watches him from behind.
The glowing cat system appears, asking if the host is truly reluctant to leave. Jiang Ro denies any attachment, his profile cold against the backdrop of bare branches.
Adjusting his glasses, Jiang Ro focuses on planning a natural and perfect final exit.
Gu Yanzhuo reviews corporate data regarding clinical trials while Jiang Ro reports the progress.
A sudden, sharp ring sounds as the black-haired man reaches for his vibrating thumb. Shock washes over Gu Yanzhuo as the police report Jiang Ro's fatal car accident.
A terrifying alarm sounds as the system detects a timeline error over Jiang Ro's body.
Waking with a start, Jiang Ro gasps as Gu Yanzhuo frantically calls his name. Gu Yanzhuo lunges upright in bed, his eyes filled with the terror of a nightmare. Crushing his rival in a desperate embrace, Gu Yanzhuo finds relief in his partner's life.
Chibi Jiang Ru struggles under the weight of his rival's overwhelming and sudden affection. Resting together, Gu Yanzhuo admits his horrific dream of Jiang Ro's tragic death.
The host orders the system to re-examine the plot after a sudden timeline shift.
A hand reaches out to reclaim the glasses from the table as morning arrives.
A quick, bright shing sounds as Jiang Ro pulls the white curtains wide open.
Gu Yanzhuo rests his head on his rival's shoulder, seeking comfort in their proximity.
Flustered, Jiang Ru protests the intensity of his rival's constant and distracting physical touch. The black-haired man grips Jiang Ru tighter, needing proof that he hasn't disappeared. A firm command to stay inside echoes as the curtains billow in the wind.
A steady, low whir sounds as Jiang Ro dries his silver hair after showering. Staring into the mirror, Jiang Ruo remains steadfast in his dark plan to die.
A quick wet step sounds as Jiang Ruo contemplates ending it all in the bathroom.
Confused, the silver-haired man wakes up in bed again, questioning the repeat of time. Both men are startled awake as Gu Yanzhuo screams his rival's name in panic.
Chibi Jiang Ro pushes back, asserting his right to be troubled by the circumstances.
Once again, a hand reaches for the glasses on the nightstand in a loop.
Chibi Jiang Ruo looks out the window before preparing to leap from the ledge. A rushing whoosh sounds as the chibi silver-haired man plunges toward the ground below.
Gasping, Jiang Ruo realizes he is trapped in a loop, unable to escape this world. A montage of failed attempts shows Jiang Ruo unsuccessfully trying to end his own life.
Standing on a glowing clock face, Jiang Ro realizes Gu Yanzhuo is resetting the world.
The silver-haired man realizes his rival's subconscious rejection of death is reversing time itself.
The system explains that Gu Yanzhuo's incredible willpower allows him to reject the script.
Gu Yanzhuo presents silver-haired Jiang Ruo with an expensive gold cross necklace to wear.
Jiang Ro protests the excessive jewelry, questioning the practical benefit of wearing multiple religious charms. Gu Yanzhuo embraces his partner, admitting a deep, inexplicable exhaustion despite only one day passing.
A chibi black-haired man carefully fastens a protective cross necklace around the chibi silver-haired man. The two men share an intimate, glowing moment as the black-haired man leans in close.
The blue system window asks the silver-haired host about his next move regarding his death.
Jiang Ro remains cold-bloodedly focused on his goal, prioritizing the mission over Gu Yanzhuo's feelings.
Gu Yanzhuo is visibly shaken while holding papers, realizing his recent nightmare was actually a premonition.
Jiang Ro admits his time is limited while Gu Yanzhuo stands behind him in the hallway.
A hand grips the medical report as Jiang Ro's thoughts confirm a fatal liver cancer diagnosis.
Gu Yanzhuo desperately embraces Jiang Ro in the hospital, promising to find a way to save him.
Jiang Ru calmly asks to spend his remaining time in peace, accepting his inevitable end.
A transition panel featuring blue leaves announces that 6 months have passed since the diagnosis.
As Jiang Ru lies in a hospital bed, his glowing blue soul begins to leave his body.
The silver-haired soul observes Gu Yanzhuo finally accepting his death after half a year of mourning.
A system prompt asks the host to review the world's development before officially ending the mission. Jiang Ro confidently rejects the review, ready to trigger the settlement and move to the next world.
The settlement process unexpectedly stalls, leaving the silver-haired host and the system bewildered amidst drifting clocks. Despite the delay, the channel to the next world opens, showing a favorable task completion rate.
Little AI suggests the host enter the next world while the backend processes the previous settlement.
The system introduces the new task, Infatuated with Investment, identifying the host as a powerful CEO.
Now in a new world, the silver-haired man sits in a luxury chair, reviewing his mission.
The system explains the target, Qi Yan, a popular but untalented idol in a boy group. Chibi Jiang Ro's previous role involved elevating Qi Yan's career in exchange for secret sexual favors. Chibi Qi Yan seeks ruthless revenge for his past humiliation, while Jiang Ruo scolds his predecessor's target.
The silver-haired man resolves to promote the actor without engaging in any casting couch scandals.
The host asks about the current plot, learning he just threatened Qi Yan with potential blacklisting.
The system notes that Qi Yan should be arriving soon to make his fateful career choice.
Jiang Ro stands and decides to get rid of the man to avoid any scandalous rumors. The silver-haired man opens the office door to find his target already waiting for him outside. Jiang Ru is stunned to see a man with a glass of wine who looks identical to Gu Yanzhuo. Terror grips the silver-haired man as he realizes this newcomer is actually his former rival, Gu Yanzhuo. Confused and panicked, Jiang Ruo wonders if he has somehow returned to the very first world. The blonde-haired Qi Yan peeks into the room as a sudden heavy thud sounds. A sharp crash sounds as the wine glass shatters, and the black-haired man urgently calls Jiang Ruo's name.
System alarms blare as Jiang Ruo is pulled back by the main system, losing his connection.
The system shuts down completely, leaving the silver-haired man blind to the rapidly unfolding situation.
A sudden lunge sounds as a shadowy hand reaches out toward the startled silver-haired man.
The black-haired man gently touches Jiang Ruo's face, lamenting how his memories of him have faded. Expressing intense longing, the black-haired man embraces Jiang Ruo, admitting he's been driven near insanity. The black-haired man lifts Jiang Ruo into a passionate embrace, needing to feel his physical presence.
Looking deep into his eyes, the man wonders if his partner's soul has truly returned to him.
The scene shifts to the room's elegant interior as the two men move toward the couch together.
A sudden thud sounds as the black-haired man pins Jiang Ruo down, demanding he stays.
Gripping his robes, the black-haired man begs for forgiveness even while refusing to let him go.
Jiang Ruo protests the intensity, questioning who needs to forgive whom in this chaotic reunion. A soft sounds as a white butterfly glows between their lips during a tender kiss.
The kiss deepens amidst blooming roses as Jiang Ruo struggles to understand the sudden, overwhelming situation.
Chibi Jiang Ruo blushes furiously and protests as the black-haired man affectionately nuzzles his silver hair. A soft touch accompanies an intimate moment as a hand gently caresses the silver-haired man's back. Gu Yanzhuo holds Jiang Ruo in bed, expressing his long-held desire for this intimate moment.
The silver-haired man reaches out, a soft touch lingering near his partner's bare neck.
A bright, quick ting sounds as little AI appears, interrupting the couple's intimate reunion. The glowing system urgently requests the host's attention for an important, high-priority announcement.
Screens explain that Gu Yanzhuo's overwhelming emotions have shattered the boundary between these worlds.
A hand reaches toward a cracking mirror as the system warns of world collapse. Horrified, Jiang Ru learns the system has ordered Gu Yanzhuo's immediate and total erasure. Jiang Ruo stares at his rival, struggling with the instruction to delete a mistake. Straddling his rival, the silver-haired man prepares to follow the system's lethal command. Pressing the delete key mentally, Jiang Ruo tightens a silk tie around Gu Yanzhuo's neck. A steady, firm pull sounds as Jiang Ruo continues his cold-blooded attempt to kill. Several soft, dry coughs sound as the black-haired man begins to choke under pressure. Gu Yanzhuo kneels, refusing to resist the silver-haired man's attack, confusing his cold partner.
Standing before him, the black-haired man encourages Jiang Ruo to continue his twisted game.
A low, soft murmur sounds as Gu Yanzhuo admits he will never resist him. A quick, sharp bite sounds as Jiang Ruo kisses him, drawing blood and light. A rhythmic, wet suck sounds as the silver-haired man marks Gu Yanzhuo's bare shoulder. Pulling away, Jiang Ruo defiantly rejects the kill, declaring he won't be commanded. Looking up with longing eyes, Gu Yanzhuo waits for his partner's next move. The black-haired man asks for permission to kiss, his gaze heavy with intense desire. Chibi Jiang Ruo remains silent, blushing furiously as he considers the unexpected request. They share a glowing kiss, with Gu Yanzhuo calling his partner his only light.
A soft, low sounds as the two wake up together in a high-rise.
Gu Yanzhuo watches Jiang Ruo with an intensity that borders on a desperate obsession. Sitting together, Jiang Ruo notes how dark the world feels despite the morning light. Chibi Jiang Ruo pokes at Gu Yanzhuo, amazed that he is still alive. Gu Yanzhuo is visibly shaken, unable to understand how his partner has actually returned. Glitching visuals appear as the man recalls burying his partner's ashes with his hands. Red alerts blare as Gu Yanzhuo's mind begins to collapse under the weight of paradox.
Waking with a start, Jiang Ruo notices his hand glitching and calls for Gu Yanzhuo.
Desperate to save the world, Jiang Ruo claims he is just a hired stand-in.
Chibi Jiang Ruo weaves a lie about being hired due to his likeness to Roro.
A wet, gagging sound comes from little AI as Jiang Ruo continues his elaborate lie.
Jiang Ruo watches his partner, hoping the lie is enough to stabilize Gu Yanzhuo's mind.
Little AI warns that the danger remains as long as the black-haired man lives.
Excusing himself, the silver-haired man heads to the bathroom to think about his next move.
Gu Yanzhuo watches him go, his eyes confirming he knows the truth regardless of lies. Looking in the mirror, Jiang Ruo resolves to save Gu Yanzhuo without resorting to murder. The blue system window expresses doubt about saving the world without hating the source.
Jiang Ru identifies himself as the true anomaly that doesn't belong in this timeline.
Using a mental map, the host identifies World A and World B to navigate.
Jiang Ru compares himself to a bullet fired through the barriers of two different worlds.
A sudden, loud bang sounds as the mental image of a bullet pierces ear. The bullet streaks across the void, symbolizing Jiang Ruo's path toward Gu Yanzhou's current reality. Fired from World B, the bullet pierces the barrier, creating a crack between two worlds.
Jiang Ru observes the stuck bullet, realizing the barrier hasn't completely shattered into pieces yet.
The silver-haired man realizes his own disappearance is the key to restoring global stability. Shocked, little AI warns that self-termination will cause the entire system to break down completely.
Chibi Jiang Ru dismisses the concerns, preparing to leave the way he originally erect.
Contemplating the butterfly effect, Jiang Ruo prepares to trigger a final, world-altering change. Jiang Ruo reflects on the laws of causality and the specific conditions required to jump between worlds. System alarms blare as the world begins collapsing, fueling the silver-haired man's desperate desire to return. An oppressive darkness filled with blue digital artifacts surrounds the silver-haired host as reality glitches.
Gu Yanzhou discovers the truth behind Jiang Ruo's sudden appearance while reviewing security footage from the house.
Determined to keep him, the black-haired man resolves to endure any deception Jiang Ruo maintains.
Chibi Jiang Ru and Little AI observe from the bathroom as Gu Yanzhou finally regains composure. Little AI alerts the silver-haired host that the black-haired man is currently approaching the room.
3 quick knocks sound as Gu Yanzhou asks if the silver-haired man requires any assistance. Jiang Ruo teases him through the door, prompting a soft, defensive reply from the black-haired man. Looking somber, the black-haired man admits his paralyzing fear of his partner vanishing once again. Opening the door in a robe, Jiang Ruo reassures him while feeling a sense of déjà vu. Memories confirm that Gu Yanzhou's intense longing acted as a beacon, pulling Jiang Ruo back home.
Little AI expresses hope that the silver-haired host can successfully navigate this complex temporal web.
Surrounded by glowing symbols, Chibi Jiang Ruo and the system prepare for their next strategic move.
A hand turns the latch as the scene shifts back to the modern corporate office.
Facing his rival, Jiang Ruo realizes the logic was sound, but a vital condition remains missing.
A hand reaches out to grasp a tablet sitting on the polished office desk.
Qian confirms the silver-haired CEO was just in the room before suddenly disappearing.
Standing alone in the vast, elegant office, the blonde-haired man wonders where his boss went.
Jiang Ruo suddenly reappears at the door, leaving the blonde-haired idol stunned by the impossible return.
Chibi Jiang Ruo celebrates his successful return while the blonde-haired Tian remains utterly bewildered. The silver-haired man looks away, worrying that his inevitable departure will only deepen his partner's sorrow. Opening the door, the black-haired man calls out for his partner in the empty room. A desperate shout for Ruro echoes through the hallway, reflecting the man's growing panic. A quick click sounds as Jiang Ruo latches the door, questioning what changed during this trip. The silver-haired man suspects that the power of time travel has inextricably linked him to Qian.
Qian playfully asks if he was missed, but Jiang Ruo remains stoic and focused.
The blonde-haired man smirks, commenting on the silver-haired CEO's apparent lack of shame today.
Jiang Ruo dismisses the teasing, explaining he was merely checking on the blonde-haired idol's presence.
Resting his chin on his hand, the silver-haired man deduces that Qi Yan's thoughts triggered his return.
Chibi visuals illustrate how the intense longing between all three men creates a dimensional bridge.
Jiang Ru realizes that the idol's persistent thoughts might trap him in this world forever.
The silver-haired CEO orders Qian to work harder and stop wasting time thinking about him. Confused by the sudden coldness, the blonde-haired man listens as Jiang Ruo claims it was a test.
Jiang Ruo ruthlessly critiques Jian's lack of talent while Chibi Qian reels from the insults.
Chibi Jiang Ruo warns the blonde-haired idol that his looks won't save his failing career.
The silver-haired man proposes a reality show to improve Qian's acting and performance skills.
Little AI explains that this specific show is the destined turning point in the original novel. Crossing his arms defiantly, the blonde-haired man flatly refuses to participate in the suggested program. Despite hearing about the famous directors involved, the blonde-haired man stands firm in his refusal. Smiling calmly, Jiang Ruo accepts the deviation, comparing the stubborn idol to a monk in meditation. With a final acknowledgement, the blonde-haired man turns and exits the lecture office. Jiang Ruo instructs Little AI to find the original novel and investigate the idol's hidden background. Glitched folders appear as the system reveals the original text is currently inaccessible and broken. The scene shifts to the towering modern skyscrapers of the city under a clear blue sky. Touching his silver necklace, Qian notes that his father has returned from a business trip. The brown-haired driver informs the blonde-haired man about his father's new girlfriend.
Relaxing in the car, Cheon sighs over his secret identity within the competitive entertainment industry. A moment of quiet transition as the scene fades into a dark, textured background. The dark fabric ripples slightly, signaling a shift in the story's unfolding drama. Golden autumn leaves rustle gently, signaling a transition to a new family scene. Chi Yan returns home, announcing his presence to a father who barely looks up. The blonde-haired man's father sits with his new girlfriend, ignoring his son's arrival.
While his father notes a familiar likeness, his companion warns him to drop the subject.
His father mockingly dismisses him as a talentless moocher before Chi Yan retreats upstairs.
Chi Yan inwardly scoffs at his father's obsession with controlling the entertainment industry's women.
Climbing the stairs, Chi Yan revels in the fact that his father remains totally oblivious. Adjusting his tie, the blonde-haired man reminds himself to remain hidden until he is strong. A hand reaches toward the reflective surface, signaling a moment of quiet, intense resolve. Looking into the mirror, the blonde-haired man notes that everything seems normal today. A heavy silence follows as he realizes a single, unsettling exception to the peace. On the phone, Chi Yan demands to know exactly what his mysterious rival is planning. A digital countdown begins as the silver-haired man prepares for his next world jump. Sweat beads on his face as the system marks 2 seconds until the transition. A sharp click sounds as the silver-haired CEO's foot hits the ground, finishing the jump. Chibi Zhengro celebrates returning home safely without being pulled into Gu Yandrou's world. Walking in slippers, the silver-haired man considers the necessity of keeping his mind empty.
Chibi Zhengro demonstrates his method for purging all thoughts before crossing any thresholds.
Checking his phone, the silver-haired man stays alert while little AI floats beside him.
An investigator reports that Chi Yan's company information and name are entirely fabricated. The silver-haired CEO remains calm, confirming his suspicions about the blonde-haired idol's true identity. Jing Ro offers another $1 million for more information as the Chibi investigator eagerly accepts.
Placing his phone down, the silver-haired man notes that money is his greatest world bug.
Removing his coat, Jang Ro wonders if Chi Yan's refusal stems from a hidden connection. The silver-haired man deduces that someone on the television program must be linked to Chi Yan. A sudden loud crash sounds as Chibi Jiangro accidentally trips through a closet door. Landing on the floor, Jiangro realizes he has accidentally entered Gu Yandrou's dressing room. A soft thud sounds as Jiangruo stands up, questioning how a closet became a portal. Chibi Jiangruo fumes, blaming Qian's late-night thoughts for pulling him into this world. Determined to escape unnoticed, the silver-haired host plans a quick exit from the dressing room. To his horror, the silver-haired man discovers the closet door has no handle to open. Desperate to return, he presses his hand against the smooth, unyielding surface of the door. Turning away, a quick snap sounds as Zhang Ruo decides to investigate the hallway instead. The silver-haired man searches the quiet house, calling out for Chi Yan with growing concern. Entering a dark room, Zhang Ruo notices an eerie, unnatural silence hanging over the house. A sudden, sharp click sounds as the silver-haired host is startled by a noise behind him. A soft whir sounds as overhead sensor lights flicker on, illuminating the empty, cold room. Looking out the window, Zhang Ruo is horrified to see the world dissolving into digital glitches. Little AI warns that the world's damage is terminal, leaving only this house standing intact. Panic rising, the silver-haired man shouts for Gu Yanzhuo into the void of the dying world. Moving through the darkness, he frantically searches for any sign of his partner's whereabouts. Breathless and trembling, Zhengru realizes his partner is nowhere to be found in the house.
The silver-haired man pauses at the final door, his heart sinking with a sense of dread.
Stepping into the final room, he finds nothing but a cold, empty space devoid of life. A bright flash sounds as more sensor lights activate, revealing the extent of the emptiness.
A quick snap sounds as a light turns off, leaving Zhang Ru in deepening silent darkness.
Little AI sadly informs the host that Gu Yandrou's world has completely collapsed and vanished. A tear falls as the silver-haired man whispers his heartbreaking realization of the total loss. A soft, wet splash sounds as a single tear hits the wooden floor of the room. A moment of quiet sorrow passes as the scene fades into the empty, silent house.
As the blonde-haired man sleeps, a digital glitch ripples through his mind like a fractured memory.
The scene lingers momentarily on a peaceful blue sky before the narrative continues. A quiet transition passes as the story prepares to delve into a hidden past. Neon blue fragments drift across the darkness, signaling the start of a deep psychological shift. In a cold flashback, a cruel housekeeper drags a young boy into a dark storage room. A heavy bang sounds as the door slams shut, leaving the terrified child alone in the dark.
Crying in the darkness, the boy sees glowing stars in his hands and a comforting reflection.
A soft thud sounds as the boy stands, finding strength in his own glowing mirror image. Touching the glass, the child sees a glitched vision of Chi Yan calling his own name. Waking with a start, the blonde-haired man gasps as he tries to shake off the nightmare. Panting heavily, Chi Yan stares at the glowing stars on the wall that haunt his waking hours. The blonde-haired man sits up, sweating and bewildered by the intense strangeness of his recurring dream.
Resting his head in his hand, Chi Yan wonders why these specific memories keep resurfacing now.
In acting class, Chi Yan ignores the lecture on natural instinct, wondering where Jiang-ru is today.
A sharp whir sounds as a digital glitch suddenly flashes across the blonde-haired man's golden eyes. Falling from his desk, Chi Yan hears a distorted voice calling for Jiang-ru through the void.
Desperate shouts of classmate echo as the blonde-haired man lies dazed on the cold classroom floor.
Chi Yan looks up with blurry vision, his reality beginning to warp into something entirely different.
Suddenly, standing on a beach, the blonde-haired man wonders how he vanished from his acting class.
Looking toward the horizon, Chi Yan is stunned to see the silver-haired CEO standing by the shore. A dark-haired woman scolds Chi Yan for his attitude, but his focus remains on the impossible return. Touching his forehead, the blonde-haired man questions why Jiang-ru is suddenly searching for him here.
Chi Yan speaks to the spirit of Gu Yanzhuo, treating the vast sea as a lonely grave. Standing in a long coat, the silver-haired man looks out over the waves with somber eyes.
Jiang-ru reflects on his past marriage, feeling unworthy of being called a true lover or friend.
In a memory, the black-haired Gu Yanzhuo accuses the silver-haired man of trespassing on his private property.
Jiang-ru explains his secret search for a place to settle after his life in the system.
The silver-haired man considers ending his mission early to finally accept his own inevitable digital death.
Looking through his gold-rimmed glasses, Jiang-ru admits he can never provide anyone a happy ending.
Above the darkening sea, the silver-haired man realizes that he and his partner are fundamentally identical.
Jiang-ru explains his desire to retire from the monitored life of a system-controlled mission target.
Regret fills the silver-haired man as he laments ever getting involved with anyone in this world.
A sharp snap sounds as Chi Yan reaches out and pulls the glasses from Jiang-ru's face.
Grabbing the silver-haired man, Chi Yan demands he wake up from his self-destructive and somber thoughts.
Standing on the shoreline, the blonde-haired man demands to know why Jiang-ru would choose death.
Chibi Jiang-ru fumes over his lost glasses while the speck sinks slowly into the deep water.
Grabbing Chi Yan's arm, the silver-haired man insists that the blonde-haired idol helps him retrieve them.
Bystanders spot the famous blonde-haired idol, whispering about his relationship with the mysterious man facing him.
Realizing anti-fans are approaching, Ji Yan asks the silver-haired man if he wants to escape together.
Chibi Chi Yan pulls the confused silver-haired man away to avoid being surrounded by annoying gossipers.
A sudden whoosh sounds as Chibi Chi Yan accidentally tumbles into the silver-haired man during their escape.
They arrive at a colorful circus where a clown excitedly announces that a great performance is starting.
Ducking into a costume shop, Chi Yan asks if the silver-haired man has any cash on hand.
A soft click sounds as the blonde-haired man grabs a costume to help them both hide.
Chi Yan insists they change clothes immediately to blend into the festive crowd and evade pursuit. The blonde-haired man pauses, noting the confused and vulnerable expression on the unspectacled CEO's face.
Placing a hand on Jiang-ru's forehead, Chi Yan asks if his eyesight is truly that poor.
The silver-haired man stands in a daze, remembering that Gu Yanzhuo once asked him the same question. Taking responsibility for the chaos, the blonde-haired man prepares to help the silver-haired CEO change clothes. Jiang-ru pushes him back, bluntly stating he is gay and has no reason to be shy.
Chibi Chi Yan teases the silver-haired CEO about their secret deal in the dressing room.
Back in reality, the blonde-haired man helps Jiang-ru into a delicate white outfit.
The silver-haired man realizes with horror they accidentally chose a revealing woman's costume.
Flustered, Jiang-ru demands the blonde-haired man leave so he can change again.
Chi Yan watches through the curtain, admiring how pretty the silver-haired man looks.
A quiet moment passes as purple lilies bloom, signaling a shift in the atmosphere.
Dressed in black with a mask, the blonde-haired man is finally ready to leave.
They walk hand in hand through the circus, trying to blend into the colorful, festive crowd. A girl in a black hoodie spots them, shouting for her group to gather.
Chi Yan pulls the silver-haired man close, hoping to evade the approaching anti-fans. The girl runs past their hiding spot as the chase intensifies through the fairgrounds.
Shh! A silence falls as Chi Yan covers Jiang-ru's mouth inside a wooden box.
Drip, a drop of liquid hits the silver-haired man's shoulder, startling him.
Jiang-ru realizes with a blush that the liquid is actually the blonde-haired man's sweat.
The blonde-haired man whispers for him to remain still in the cramped, dark space.
Jiang-ru admits he feels an instinctively bad vibe coming from the girl outside.
Qi Yan gently touches his face, promising he is not nervous about their pursuers.
In the tight box, the blonde-haired man offers comfort, vowing to stay together. Thump, a sudden heartbeat echoes through the darkness as their eyes meet.
Qi Yan experiences a flutter in his heart, overwhelmed by the close proximity.
Jiang attempts to remain calm, claiming his heart is usually peaceful.
Glub, a digital chest sinks to the ocean floor, signaling a system interference.
A Chibi character lies on a digital medical bed, connected to various glowing circuits.
Jiang worries about ignoring his mission directives to stay away from Qi Yan.
Inside the box, the silver-haired man bluntly claims he just wiped dirt on Qi Yan's shirt.
Qi Yan suspects his partner is playing hard to get as the box suddenly moves.
Panic sets in as the silver-haired man realizes their hiding spot is being carried away.
To their horror, they discover the lid is locked, trapping them inside the box.
Peering through a hole, the blonde-haired man realizes they are on a stage.
A magician announces the start of a dangerous sword-piercing trick for the audience.
Jiang realizes they must pretend to be staff to handle this terrifying situation.
Through the peephole, the silver-haired man spots the anti-fangirl approaching the stage.
The blonde-haired man wonders if these suspicious coincidences were orchestrated by someone.
The girl complains that a simple inspection is boring, demanding more excitement.
Grabbing a weapon, the girl suggests they should just start stabbing the box immediately.
Swish! The girl thrusts a sword through the wood as the audience watches breathlessly.
Whoosh! Inside, the blade narrowly misses them while Qi Yan holds Jiang close. The blonde-haired man realizes the girl's intent is far more sinister than simple anti-fandom.
The girl laughs with malice, preparing to drive the next sword home.
Look out! Qi Yan shields the silver-haired man as another blade pierces the box.
Their breathing hitches in the dark, the danger drawing them into an intimate huddle.
Jiang hesitates to escape, fearing a public scandal would ruin Qi Yan's idol career.
He envisions the damaging headlines that would follow if they were discovered together.
Outside, the girl gleefully declares she has found the perfect position for the kill.
The girl raises the sword high, while Jiang insists he has a plan. Gasp! The blade descends as the silver-haired man prepares for a split-second talk.
Jiang reaches out, covering the blonde-haired man's eyes to shield him from the sight.
Beep! Danger warnings flash red as a drop of blood stains the silver-haired man's neck.
Little AI logs in through Jiang glasses, offering a warning but no help.
The blonde-haired man forces Jiang head down, narrowly avoiding the lethal blade.
Qi Yan checks on the injured silver-haired man as Little AI celebrates their reunion.
Pushing the blonde-haired man back, Jiang looks determined to handle the situation alone. The silver-haired man adjusts his glasses, asking Qi Yan to help him with a specific task.
A sudden thump sounds as Qi Yan blushes deeply, his heart hammering against his chest.
Steam whistles from the blonde-haired man's head as he reels from their sudden close proximity.
On stage, the dark-haired girl laughs maniacally while driving her sword into the wooden box.
A sudden click sounds as the stage lights fail, plunging the entire circus into darkness.
The audience shouts for a refund while the dark-haired girl stands alone in the dark.
A man in a suit calls for calm as the staff rushes to restore order.
A sharp flash sounds as the staff begins to inspect the box for the performance.
Spotting them escaping through the curtains, the dark-haired girl watches in disbelief as they vanish.
The magician orders his staff to catch the intruder while the girl tries to stop them.
Frustrated, the girl discovers that her special ability has expired at the most critical moment.
Night settles over the landscape as the moon hangs brightly among a sea of stars.
Reaching the dark beach, Qi Yan and Jiang finally stop to catch their breath.
Jiang admits he instructed Xiao Ai to cut the power to ensure their safe escape.
Chibi Little AI boasts about its vital role while the two men rest on the sand.
Qi Yan is baffled that the silver-haired man had a spare pair of glasses all along.
A small bump sounds as Qi Yan complains about diving into the sea for nothing.
Jiang walks away, coldly stating that he cannot maintain emotional ties with his mission targets.
Back in his room, the blonde-haired man lies in bed counting glow-in-the-dark stars. Tossing restlessly, Qi Yan finds his mind haunted by the intimate moment inside the box.
The blonde-haired man sits up, frustrated by his inability to understand the silver-haired CEO's distance.
Covering his face, Qi Yan struggles with his racing heart and the intensity of his feelings.
In a dream, a dark-haired man looms over his partner, whispering an intimate nickname softly.
The black-haired man leans in close, asking his lover what he desires most in this moment.
Blushing deeply, the man on the bed admits he wants to take the lead tonight.
Waking with a sudden start, Qi Yan's golden eyes wide with shock as the dream fades.
Sitting in the dim light, the blonde-haired man wonders if he is losing his mind.
Panting heavily, Qi Yan steps out of bed, still shaken by the vividness of the vision. Under the shower, the blonde-haired man senses that something is fundamentally changing within his heart.
Water cascades over Chi-Yan as he contemplates the shift from hatred to deep attraction.
Stepping out of the shower, he admits that he truly feels something for the silver-haired man. Staring into the mirror, the blonde-haired man addresses his old imaginary friend, the mysterious Z. Chi-Yan questions why his imagined companion suddenly feels like a tangible person searching for Ro. Touching the glass, the blonde-haired man sees his reflection glitching into a dark digital phantom.
A vision of the black-haired man appears in the glitching void, calling out for his partner.
The scene shifts to Jang Ruo's villa as the early morning sun touches the trees.
Applying a bandage to his neck, the silver-haired man continues to hear the mysterious voice.
Startled, Jang Ruo looks into the mirror and sees the reflection of the dark-haired Gu Yandro.
Reaching out, the silver-haired man stares at the apparition, wondering if he has truly returned.
Little AI chirps a question, causing the spectral image to vanish as reality settles back. Jiang Ro dismisses the vision as an illusion born from exhaustion, trying to stay focused.
The silver-haired man asks the system if it detected anything unusual about the girl's actions.
Walking away, Jiang Ro decides that the mysterious attacker will surely reveal herself again soon.
A sharp buzz sounds as the silver-haired man enters his dressing room to find his phone.
Jang Ruo checks a message from a private investigator containing a secret staff list.
Adjusting his glasses, the silver-haired CEO begins to scan the names of the program team. Spotting a woman named Gu Han, Jiang Ruo realizes he must investigate her background further.
The silver-haired man considers inviting her to discuss film investment to confirm his suspicions.
Jiang Ruo leads the elegant Anji through the hallway, discussing future business investment arrangements. Ahead in the television department's corridor, blonde-haired Chi-Yan stands waiting, surprising them both. Shock flashes across the blonde-haired man's face as his golden eyes widen at the sight.
Chi-Yan realizes Jian Ro's true reason for avoiding the program involves his history with Anji.
Entering the office, the blonde-haired man confronts Jiang Ruo about his casual use of the space. With a piercing gaze, Chi-Yan demands to know why the silver-haired CEO invited Anji.
Jiang Ro reflects on Anji's sudden, mysterious resurgence after years of total industry inactivity.
The silver-haired man wonders aloud about the high price the actress paid for her regained fame.
A sudden, firm bob sounds as Chi-Yan seizes Jiang Ru's chin, forcing their eyes to meet.
Looming over him, the blonde-haired man reminds the CEO exactly who holds the dominant position.
A loud scrit sounds as Chi-Yan pins Jang Ro against the desk, questioning his investigation.
Breathing heavily, the blonde-haired man urges Jiang Ro to stop hiding secrets and trust him completely.
Chibi Jangaro snaps back, threatening to bite if the blonde-haired man doesn't let him go. Chi-Yan places a finger in his mouth, stalling the threat as the office air grows heavy.
Haunted by a vivid, intimate memory of a dark-haired man, Chi-Yan's face flushes with heat. A soft swirl sounds as the intimate touch lingers, heightening the tension between the two men. Silence fills the room as the shimmering atmosphere binds them together in a moment of hesitation. Pushing him away, Jiang Ro demands to know if he even bothered to wash his hands.
Chi-Yan explains his technique for handling biting cats, comparing the silver-haired man to a pet.
Fuming with wolf-like intensity, Chibi Jang Ruo barks at the unfazed blonde-haired man in the office.
Brr, a sudden vibration from the silver-haired man's pocket interrupts their heated, close proximity argument. Jang Ru reveals a detective's report exposing Anji's past relationship and a shocking family secret. The screen details how Anji had a son out of wedlock named Gu Yanzhao.
A sharp gasp hitches as the silver-haired man stares at the name of his lost lover.
Confused, Chi-Yan questions why his own real name appears to be the same Gu Yanzhuo.
Jiang Ro compares Chi-Yan to the phantom of the dark-haired man, fearing their identical identities.
Little AI glitches nearby as the silver-haired CEO struggles to process the possibility of a reunion. He realizes that without their shared memories, this man cannot truly be his lost Gu Yantro.
Looking at the phone, the blonde-haired man insists the investigative information is undoubtedly accurate.
Jang Ru explains he barred Anji from the show to protect Chi-Yan's rising career.
With a gentle bop, the CEO promises to clear every obstacle from the blonde-haired man's path. Chi-Yan's golden eyes shimmer with a rare, vulnerable emotion following the silver-haired man's vow.
Online news spreads rapidly, confirming that the triple gold actress has officially withdrawn from the show.
Leaked photos of Chi-Yan in historical costume go viral, sparking massive interest in his acting debut.
Fans gush over his transformation, praising the blonde-haired man's intense gaze and undeniable screen presence.
Chi-Yan's popularity surges to the top of the charts following the actress's controversial departure. While walking with his manager, Chi-Yan learns his path as an actor is already yielding results.
Despite his success, the blonde-haired man laments that Jiang Ru hasn't contacted him even once lately.
His manager points out that President Jian is currently visiting the company, lifting Qi Yan's mood.
Tongue, a heavy sound echoes as Qi Yan throws open the door to find a crowd.
He stands frozen, watching with rising jealousy as his group members surround the silver-haired CEO.
The other idols dote on Jiang Ru, feeding him fruit while he enjoys their cheerful company. Qi Yan shouts his name in a jealous rage, startling everyone in the crowded, festive room. Storming forward, the blonde-haired man demands to know if Jiang Ru watched them every single day.
Jiang Ru warns Qi Yan not to fall for him, maintaining his persona as a cold man. In a protective flurry, chibi wolf-eared Qi Yan guards the CEO from the other curious group members.
Chibi Jiang Ru protests the slander, blushing as he tries to maintain order among the rowdy boys. The blonde-haired man asks why he looks at the others, suspecting the CEO is teasing him.
A group member grabs Qi Yan's hand to offer congratulations, while Jiang Ru watches them intently.
Looking away, the blonde-haired man gives a curt reply, masking his true feelings with a frown.
Soft blue leaves sway gently as the scene shifts to a new night. Stepping out of a black SUV, blonde-haired Qi Yan arrives at his destination. Inside the car, the blonde-haired man instructs his driver to monitor Jiang Ru's contacts.
Looking back, the brown-haired driver confirms he has no news regarding the anti-fans yet.
Watching the vehicle from a distance, the dark-haired girl laments her lack of opportunities. A pink system notification appears, urging the girl to obstruct and erase the male lead. The system begins altering the girl's voice as she plots to sabotage Qi Yan's career.
On the phone, the girl manipulates the situation by claiming Qi Yan is An Yi's son.
Gazing at the city lights, the dark-haired actress is tempted by an offer of revenge.
A hand pushes open a heavy door as a sharp, demanding voice calls out.
Entering the room, the dark-haired man watches an object sail past his head.
A woman in a pink dress watches fearfully while a man screams about public humiliation.
Seated on an ornate couch, the gray-haired older man shouts in a fit of rage.
The dark-haired man stands firm as his father scoffs at his sudden return.
With a steady gaze, the golden-eyed man ignores the insults being hurled his way.
Lunging forward, the angry father brandishes his hand to strike his unfilial son.
Reflecting on past abuse, the dark-haired man prepares for his father's inevitable violence.
Seizing the older man's collar, the dark-haired man finally refuses to be a victim.
A firm hand silences the father, cutting off his tirade with a display of strength.
Checking his phone, the dark-haired man grows jealous upon learning of Jiang Ru's new sponsorships.
The tension reaches a boiling point as the gray-haired man prepares to throw a punch.
Chibi older man fumes with rage while the stoic dark-haired man remains completely unmoved.
In his office, silver-haired Jiang Ru reviews documents alongside a floating digital Xiao Ai.
The silver-haired CEO explains that sponsoring multiple people prevents personal emotional complications.
Watching the rain, Jiang Ru recalls a timeline where he caused the blonde-haired man's humiliation.
Adjusting his glasses, the silver-haired man wonders who will be the first to arrive.
Little AI questions if Qi Yan would willingly suffer just to be near the CEO.
Reaching for the handle, Jiang Ru notes that the agreement has only 3 copies. Opening the door, the silver-haired man is stunned to find Qi Yan waiting there. Bewildered, Jiang Ru wonders if he has accidentally opened the door to a different reality. Drenched in bruised, blonde-haired Qi Yan begs the silver-haired man to sponsor him.
Chibi Jiang Ru attempts to slam the door, but the desperate blonde-haired man blocks it.
Forcing his way inside, the wet blonde-haired man leaves a trail across the floor.
Qi Yan demands entry, threatening to admit his feelings if he is seen outside.
Resigning himself to the situation, Chibi Jiang Ru allows the shivering man to enter.
The blonde-haired man asks for a dry shirt as the CEO rubs his tired eyes. Jiang Ru walks away to find clothes while Qi Yan begins undressing behind him.
Selecting a shirt, the silver-haired man is startled by the younger man's close proximity.
Backing him into the closet, Qi Yan demands to know why he refuses the sponsorship.
The blonde-haired man lists Jiang Ru's protective actions, questioning if the CEO likes him. Confused by the familiar tone of the confession, Jiang Ru's mind begins to race.
Looking flustered, the silver-haired man denies having any feelings for the persistent idol.
Qi Yan pulls off his shirt, causing Chibi Jiang Ru to turn a bright red. Hovering close, the shirtless blonde-haired man challenges Jiang Ru to look at him directly.
The blonde-haired man reaches out and removes the silver-haired man's passive.
Grabbing his chin, Qi Yan traps the CEO in an embrace and repeats his question.
Shoving him back, the silver-haired man demands his glasses while trying to maintain composure.
Setting the glasses aside, the blonde-haired man asks for a chance to try together.
Surrounded by glowing petals, the 2 men share an intense, long-awaited romantic kiss. A soft sounds as they stumble together, lost in the heat of the moment.
A soft sounds as they share a glowing, romantic kiss amid swirling petals.
Shirtless Qi Yan pins the CEO down, sensing a strange, lingering presence between them.
Jiang Ru gasps in shock as the blonde-haired man's hands reach for his belt.
Qian offers a provocative choice, asking the CEO which touch he prefers most.
Biting down firmly, the blonde-haired man forces Jiang Ru to face the reflection in the mirror. Breathing heavily, the silver-haired CEO begs the blonde-haired man to stop his intense touch.
Qian questions why Jiang Ru treats him coldly despite clearly enjoying their physical closeness.
With golden eyes filled with longing, the blonde-haired man pleads for a gentle touch. Against the mirror, Jiang Ru cries out as the physical tension reaches its limit.
Qian admires the CEO's beauty while Jiang Ru struggles with failing blurred vision.
The blonde-haired man demands that the CEO finally admit his long-hidden true feelings.
A dark-haired phantom appears in the mirror, merging their reflection into a tight embrace.
A sudden, sharp bop sounds as an unseen force strikes the blonde-haired man's face.
Qian reels from the blow, realizing his dark-haired alternative persona has taken control. Staring at the reflection, the silver-haired man is left breathless and confused by the interruption.
Jiang Ru searches for his glasses while Qian nurses his stinging red cheek. A hand finally brushes against the gold-rimmed glasses resting on a nearby surface.
Chibi Jiang Ru promises revenge while little AI fumes over Qian's bandit-like behavior.
The silver-haired CEO finds himself alone in the dressing room as the atmosphere shifts.
Little AI is baffled to find the shirtless, chibi blonde-haired man fainted on the floor.
Soft blue leaves sway gently as the scene transitions to a quiet new night. Adjusting his glasses, Jiang Ru is startled by a voice calling his childhood name.
He finds Qian bound on the floor, claiming they have finally met at last. A sudden heavy thud sounds as the blonde-haired man lets out a mocking laugh.
Standing over him with crossed arms, the silver-haired CEO breathes a tired pew.
The blonde-haired man struggles against the black tie binding his wrists on the floor.
Jiang Ru places a foot on the tied man's chest, causing Qian to blush.
Pinning him firmly to the ground, the CEO ignores the blonde-haired man's frantic protests.
Surrounded by glowing blossoms, Qian begs the CEO to let him go immediately. Gasping for air, the silver-haired man realizes his vision is fading into total darkness.
The dark-haired man catches Jiang Ru in a firm embrace, claiming he finally caught him.
Amid swirling petals, they share a desperate kiss while seeking a deeper, intimate connection.
Close proximity makes the moment hard to endure as their breaths mingle in the heat. A soft gasp hitches as the silver-haired man leans back with his eyes closed.
Delicate flowers frame the quiet scene as the narrative begins to drift into memory.
Flashback, a maid pleads for mercy as a dark-haired boy and his father watch.
The boy reflects on his mixed-blood heritage, feeling treated like a useless, wasted child.
The cold father orders the maid taken away while the boy hides his involvement.
Turning away with a silent, cold gaze, the father leaves his son in the shadows. Tears fall from the young boy's golden eyes as he questions his father's cruelty.
The father vows to train his only son as an heir, demanding absolute perfection. Years of forced education become a cage used by the father to trample the boy.
In a fit of rage, the father whips his son for failing to be first. Suspended by his wrists, the dark-haired boy wonders why others must decide his life.
Refusing to be a victim, the boy kicks back against his father to reclaim power.
Growing into a strong man, the dark-haired phantom resolves never to be weak again.
He stares at the stars, realizing that his own dreams are trapped in a nightmare.
A sharp crash sounds as he punches the mirror, desperate to escape his past.
Gasping in shock, the blonde-haired man wakes up from the vivid, painful memory.
Back in reality, Qian finds himself on top of a very startled Jiang Ru.
Blushing deeply, the blonde-haired man suggests bathing together while demanding one more round of intimacy.
Bare feet press against the floor as the silver-haired man pleads for him to stop.
In the bathroom, blonde-haired Qian holds the silver-haired man close while insisting they wash. With Jiang Ru's wrists bound by a tie, the blonde-haired man ignores his request for freedom. Chibi Qian hugs the tied silver-haired man, claiming the restraints are necessary for his safety.
Lifting the shirtless blonde man, the silver-haired CEO notes his preference for this particular playful style.
Blonde-haired Qian offers to endure anything Jiang Ru desires while complimenting the CEO's dazed look.
A soft sounds as the two share another passionate kiss behind a glowing butterfly.
A single cupcake with purple frosting sits abandoned on the floor amid a splash of liquid.
Chibi Qian pants heavily while clinging to the silver-haired man's back amid a shower of blossoms.
Hugging the CEO, the blonde-haired man questions why the physical tension has returned between them.
Carrying the blonde man away, the silver-haired man resolves to erase every trace Qian left.
The scene shifts as sunlight filters through leaves, signaling the arrival of the next day.
A bare foot steps cautiously onto the floor as the morning sun fills the quiet bedroom.
Chibi Qian stands shivering in his underwear while the silver-haired CEO watches him from bed. Shirtless Qi Yan offers a gentle, satisfied smile as the morning light illuminates his golden hair.
Lounging in bed, silver-haired Jiang Ruo asks the blonde-haired man to bring him his glasses. Adjusting his glasses, Jiang Ruo realizes that he dealt with two distinct personalities the previous night. The blonde-haired man's golden eyes widen in shock as a sudden realization hits him.
Holding a mug, the dark-haired man reflects on the heavy breathing and sighs echoing through the room.
Chibi Qi Yan sprouts fox ears and a tail while showering the silver-haired CEO with affection.
Reflected in a hazy mirror, shirtless Qi Yan recalls being treated like a stray dog by his father.
Standing before the bed, the blonde-haired man describes his childhood trauma of being locked in darkness.
Qi Yan explains that his dark-haired alternative personality was an imaginary friend born from his isolation.
The silver-haired man remains stoic as Qi Yan asks which of his two personas he prefers.
A sharp bop sounds as a hand is bitten, followed by a rebuke for being disobedient.
Placing a finger to his lips, silver-haired Jiang Ruo demands that the idol only rely on him.
Standing up, the blonde-haired man announces he must leave to handle some urgent personal matters.
A soft sigh escapes the blonde-haired man as he turns away with a troubled, silent expression.
Leaning against the door in his boxers, the blonde-haired man clutches his head in sudden pain.
Staring into the mirror, Qi Yan demands to know what his dark-haired persona, Z, has done. The dark-haired reflection explains they are merging and warns the blonde man not to touch Jiang Ruo.
Defiant, blonde-haired Qi Yan mocks his counterpart, refusing to let the dark-haired phantom touch his body.
Pressing his hand against the glass, Qi Yan vows to keep Jiang Ruo all for himself. High-rise buildings stand tall against a clear blue sky as the business day begins in earnest.
In his office, silver-haired Jiang Ruo complains about the overwhelming workload to a floating digital little AI.
Shocking photos of Qi Yan and Jiang Ruo together circulate online, sparking a massive public scandal. Chibi Jiang Ruo fumes over the ugly photos, vowing to ruin the reputation of whoever leaked them.
Standing over his desk, the silver-haired CEO worries that the rumors will destroy Qi Yan's rising career.
Chibi Jiang Ruo prays for a solution while little AI warns him about the massive financial cost. A system notification alerts the CEO that Qi Yan has begun a surprise livestream to respond. Little AI points to the screen as Qi Yan publicly declares that the news reports are inaccurate. On screen, Qi Yan claims he is in a normal relationship, while a panicked Jiang Ruo orders the stream reported.
Scrolling through comments, the blonde-haired man likes a post claiming he and the CEO are a match.
Jiang Ruo bursts into the room, shouting Qi Yan's name in a fit of pure, unadulterated rage.
Chibi Qi Yan playfully calls Jiang Ruo wife, prompting an immediate and angry rejection from the CEO.
In the boardroom, the silver-haired man scolds the idol for jeopardizing his career with the unauthorized stream.
With a confident smile, blonde-haired Qi Yan tells the CEO not to worry about his public image.
Qi Yan reveals he has spent years gathering evidence against his father to destroy the family empire.
Hugging the blonde-haired man's waist, Jiang Ruo is told he cares far more than the idol does. Qi Yan demands to hear a confession, but the silver-haired man silences him.
Staring with cold determination, Jiang Ruo claims he cannot return the idol's feelings.
Desperate for comfort, the blonde-haired man begs the CEO for even a small pity.
Physical tension spikes as a hand reaches out, prompting a shocked rebuke from Jiang Ruo.
Standing in the empty meeting room, the CEO warns they could be discovered at any moment.
Pinned to the floor, Jiang Ruo listens as Qi Yan vents his obsession and internal chaos.
Sweat beads on his face as the silver-haired man desperately tries to de-escalate the situation. Hovering close, the blonde-haired man reveals a surprising internal struggle for dominance and control. Monitors flicker with a chilling command to eliminate the border crosser as a dark energy rises. A glitching digital landscape shifts, reflecting the instability of the current reality and its rules.
A playful chibi boy winks, signaling a break in the heavy narrative for a moment.
A glowing butterfly appears as the two men share a stunned, intimate look on the floor.
Amid a passionate kiss on the floor, the CEO realizes he must block the system.
A quick, sharp rattle sounds as a hand retrieves a small binder clip from the desk.
Looking dazed and vulnerable, the blonde-haired man allows the CEO to touch his chest.
A soft gasp sounds as the silver-haired man investigates the mysterious glowing light on Qi Yan.
Qi Yan looks away in shame while Jiang Ruo continues to examine the strange physical phenomena.
The dark-haired phantom appears suddenly, embracing the silver-haired man while explaining his long journey.
Holding his arm, the dark-haired man notes that Jiang Ruo had failed to see him before. Following the phantom's lead, the silver-haired man approaches the final door in the shifting world. Hovering over the CEO, Qi Yan explains how he uncontrollably merged into his current physical form.
Surrounded by digital blossoms, the blonde-haired man ponders the nature of this parallel reality.
Jiang Ro weakly protests the touch as his body begins to feel the weight of exhaustion. Resting among flowers, the CEO decides to let his companion believe in a simple parallel world. They share a deep connection while thoughts of ghosts and special existences swirl in the air.
Feeling his memories fading, Jiang Ro clings to the blonde-haired man as his consciousness wavers.
The silver-haired man fears his power is failing as he struggles to maintain control.
Qi Yan leans in for a gentle, reassuring kiss against the silver-haired man's temple.
A satisfied smile crosses the blonde-haired man's face as the intimate moment concludes. A sharp bop sounds as the CEO delivers a playful, corrective blow to the chibi idol.
Soft blue leaves drift through the air, marking a quiet transition in the scene's energy.
Opening his eyes with a start, the blonde-haired man wakes up in a dimly lit room.
Standing over the bed with crossed arms, Jiang Ruo questions if the idol has recovered. A chibi CEO threatens more hits while the blonde-haired man sprouts dog ears in apology.
Sitting on the bed, Jiang Ro gently checks for injuries while asking if it still hurts.
Clinging to the covers, the blonde-haired man worries about the system's watchful, punishing gaze. Qi Yan offers a sincere apology, promising never to lose control or force his desires again.
A soft kiss to the neck catches Qi Yan off guard, making him freeze in surprise.
Surrounded by a floral border, the chibi idol gleefully notes that the CEO has given in.
Embracing tightly, the silver-haired man realizes the system may soon try to erase his companion.
Trembling slightly, the chibi blonde-haired man begs for another bite to prove he is awake.
Holding him close, Jiang Ruo vows to stay in this world regardless of the mission's cost.
Their gazes lock in a heated, silent exchange of desire as they pull each other closer.
Hugging the CEO in bed, the blonde-haired man asks for permission to stay together longer.
Jiang Ro shouts the idol's name as he firmly grips his hands to stop him.
Contemplating his complex emotions, the CEO admits there is a thrill in loving both personas. A painful memory shows the tiny, blonde-haired boy shivering in a box on the street.
Jiang Ro finds himself holding two tiny versions of the man he has grown to love.